Today on the Special Source, we are joined by James Farrey from Refactor. James has been recruiting in the Melbourne tech market for over a decade, arriving in Australia over 10 years ago. In mid-2025, James took the step to go out on his own and start his own agency. We've known him for a few years now, and you may have seen his content floating around on LinkedIn. James Farrey, welcome to the Special Source.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Good to have you on. I wish we could have maybe captured what we've just been speaking about: mares, crackheads, chicken wings. maybe we'll get to it.
Maybe it's better to leave that off air. So,
exactly, yeah. I think it might not be LinkedIn appropriate, which is most of my stuff these days. But
Good, mate. Well, look, just so the audience know, what we're going to cover today, we're definitely keen to see what changes you've seen in your space over the last 10 years. We want to know what you have seen, not only from a personal perspective, but from leading teams. What you think it takes for a recruiter to be successful in the current market. We definitely want to talk about your personal branding and some of the stuff you put out there. And then finally, some of the key learnings for you after what's been almost 12 months in business.
yeah, it's flown by, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's, you can see some more grey hairs in the beard. You know? It's getting worse.
Now, mate, pretty thick accent there. You have been here for a while, but where do you hail from? And give us a bit of a rundown. How'd you end up in Melbourne?
Oh, it's the classic recruiter party story. I'm from Newcastle, northeast of England, so I'm a Geordie, half Scottish, hence the ginger hair. My wife's Scottish, moved up there when I was 18, went to uni and stuff, and did the sports science degree. Didn't use any of it, as you can tell, but did some traveling around Southeast Asia, Europe, New York, that kind of stuff. Landed in Southeast Asia, did the classic tour, and then came to Melbourne and thought, shit, I've spent all my money. I need to get a job. And then looked on Seek, got a few offers from a few firms. I think the Anderson Partnership and JDP.
Yep.
And never looked back, really. It was just one of those moments where it all kind of falls into place.
Yep. Was it when you first got here, I mean, was the plan to try and get, to do recruitment and stick around, or was it literally run out of money, want to stay for a bit longer, let's see what happens?
The latter, I think. Yeah. I think it was funny because I was looking at jobs before I got here. I was like, oh, great. There seems like plenty of options. There seems like some good salaries kicking around. I was about maybe 2 years into my career then. I was in accounting and finance, which didn't really suit my personality, to be honest.
I could not imagine you as an accountant. Sitting here doing talking tax returns.
Yeah, I think there was one moment where I got told off by some Edinburgh accountancy partner for calling him mate on a phone call. Oof. And it made me realise that these weren't my kind of people.
Yep.
I was like, did you just call me mate? And I was like, sorry, mate. But anyway, so when I thought, right, should we change it up a bit? And, I've always loved tech. I used to do tech sales, like website sales. And ended up getting the offer from GDP. So
you are.
Swapped industries, so to speak.
And good stuff. Good stuff.
And take us through, obviously, almost 12 months in your own business. How's that tracking? What are you sort of seeing out there in your market?
Yeah, it's good. So, I mean, we focus on that digital spectrum, really. So anything from tech, software, delivery, project services, through to marketing, growth, sales, right? It's funny because a lot of my media network is a lot of that tech stuff, software engineering, DevOps, project services. But because I was leading GDP for a while, I've got that flavor of marketing that's coming through naturally as well. So filled a few marketing roles, which I do enjoy. My wife's a marketer, so yeah. She helps me with the lingo. I think it's busy. I think we're certainly, obviously, it's easy to see you're busy when you're a one-man band at the moment because you just need a few jobs on and you feel busy. But I think certainly from a job flow compared to where it was a year ago, it's definitely picked up. It's still slower than it used to be in terms of decision making. Businesses taking their time, they don't want to make mistakes. But yeah, there's a lot more job flow and there's a lot more kind of positivity, which is interesting given what's going on as well recently. Yeah. So yeah, it's been enjoyable, mate, to be honest. It hasn't had its dull moments. It's obviously been up and down, as we all know, with recruitment. You get the amazing weeks, and then last week was an absolute shit show, to be honest. But you get it back up and you keep going.
You go again. and like you kind of just touched on there, like there's a stack of stuff going on in the world at the moment, which probably you would think that the recruitment market's not going too flash. But what do you see as the main differences in the way that you've got to work in 2026, maybe compared to maybe pre-COVID 5-10 years ago. Like
Yeah.
it's a different world. Like, do you think that that's the same in terms of what a recruiter needs to do?
Yeah, I think a lot of the core activities will always remain the same, right? I think there's a lot of talk at the minute about AI replacing recruiters. I think it's always been a people game. It's always people buy from people. It's relationships. It's your black book. It's who you know. So that will never change, no matter how many people you can reach with AI. I think it's always going to come down to the personality, the person, people buy from people, and your network, right? So I think that's never going to change. I think the things that have changed, of course, are the admin bits, the stuff that can save you time. Write-ups, candidate write-ups, goes straight from your notes, from your ATS, from your call, from your video call, straight into obviously whatever AI of choice. And then the write-up is perfect because it sees your conversation. It can do a better write-up than you could ever do.
Yep.
So those types of things, which took a lot longer than they used to, obviously help you focus on the money-making activities, which is, again, being in front of people on the phones. So all that stuff I love. I love that stuff. And I think there's a good example of when I first joined JDP, I wrote an advert, a Vanilla Ice advert for a DevOps engineer. And I changed all of the lyrics of Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby to suit DevOps.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I actually remember that.
We've got to dig this up.
Yeah, I'm going to dig it up because I remember that.
Yeah.
That would have been about 5-6 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, it went a bit viral. It made Twitter, which
Like,
New
I
York,
remember-
which was happy with that.
Yeah.
And no shit, that took me about 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
Talking about, non-revenue making activities. I've never admitted that, but it took 4 hours. And, obviously that, I resurfaced that not too long ago. And someone was like, oh, that was great, use of AI. I was like, it wasn't AI, it took me fucking 4 hours back in the day. But all that kind of stuff, obviously, to have a bit of fun, you can do, obviously. But all those like little time-saving exercises, I think, are great. But the core of it is always going to be phone-based. It's always going to be relationship-based. It's sales, right? I've had a few phone calls from AI sales bots, and they're not that good yet.
No,
Yeah.
I haven't had one yet. What are they? Just, I imagine they sound. You can tell it's AI. Like,
Yeah, you
pretty
can,
much
yeah.
tell.
You can ask her. I ask her. I have some fun with her. And it's like, are you AI? It's like, and then there's always a pause. And it's like, no, I'm not. And it was actually from a wine company trying to sell me cases of wine. So I'm the prime target for that as well. But didn't get me.
I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were interviewing this guy who was getting interviewed was from a business that helps sales teams effectively, not necessarily recruitment, but sales teams. And where they see the biggest gains with AI is taking the people who are perhaps in the bottom half of performers and getting them up to the next level.
Yeah.
Obviously you've got like your 80-20 rule where 80% of your sales comes from 20% of your staff. And that's where they think they can make AI can really help bring those low performers up. So I reckon it'll be interesting.
100%. And I think that's, to the question at hand, how sort of recruitment changed. I think, I agree. The relationship aspect, it's always going to be there, right? But now it's about influencing more and more.
Yeah.
The admin tasks or that ability to reach, clients or candidates en masse and build it down, that can be automated, right? Through AI, but you still need to influence a candidate. You still need to be able to influence a client to, use you basically and your services.
Sure.
Until someone invents AI that can do all that for us. Well, then we're fucked, but until that time comes, I think we'll be okay, right? So, and I think the way recruitment's moving forward, it's people who I guess are willing to adapt to change.
Yeah,
have that mindset to saying, hey, you know what? There's going to be constant change. There's going to be new innovations, new versions of AI coming out.
Yeah.
Seems like every day now, but every 6-12 months, and companies are going to pivot pretty fast in terms of their strategy. It's people who can just embrace that, I think, as opposed to all I've got to do is just make my phone calls and, hopefully it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the recruitment industry as a whole, because I think you've got agencies who are, let's call it, more traditional and run by founders who are of, say, an older generation, even compared to us. And I think, perhaps, and rightly so, their view is nothing's going to beat good old fashioned, picking up the phone and whatever else. But I think you've also got a new breed of recruitment agency owners. We're seeing so many pop up now that are much more tech savvy and open to doing things differently. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they utilize tech to get a jump on the market. It's pretty exciting. And I know speaking to you yesterday, like you love a shiny new tool. We'll talk more about that. So do I.
100%.
But you know, what specific things do you think, like for the time being, what parts of the recruitment process do you think AI can really help?
Yeah, obviously the basics like note taking, automated call note taking, whether it's on your phone or on video. Research, obviously, massive part of, how many hours have consultants wasted over the years just scrolling through LinkedIn looking for hiring managers, right? All that research, even to say, right, I've got this amazing candidate, especially in Canada short markets, I've got this amazing candidate. Who can I send them to? Who can I reverse market them to? And again, that research piece of, right, AI can pull you through 30 companies straight away, saying, right, there you go, bang. And there's tools out there that I've used already that can do that.
Yeah.
And have been quite good. I made two deals in the first 2 months based off one of the tools. Fuck all sense, but again, it's probably because I've been busier. So I haven't really, put much emphasis into doing it as religiously as I was. Because again, these tools are just tools, right? They're only as good as the person using them, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you are, what I did was get everything and then sit there and be like, well, I've got everything. And then I stopped, I wasn't really using it. So literally just wasting money. So I think as long as you're using it purposefully and adding it into your KPIs, adding that into, right, if I do this religiously, 5 amazing candidates per week and build out a good market map, you will get success out of it. Again, it's just how much you use the tools that you've got, basically. Just like anything.
It's like you're absolutely right. And I think it's also what it's allowed to do is, we've seen that, the rise of the micro agency, right? That one or two-man show, you're a classic example, but it allows you to now compete with some of the bigger guys.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
In terms of that speed to market, they may have bigger teams, right? And obviously I think for a lot of the larger agencies, some of that challenge is implementing, with the change management piece, that's the challenge, right? Because they might have 100 odd staff in their business. Not everyone's going to think the same way. People have had success different ways, where if you're a 1-2-man band, you're nimble, you can adopt some tech, and it lets you compete with these guys pretty quickly, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just saves time on those tasks that essentially as a recruiter, as a business owner, you just don't want to be doing, right? Which is usually admin and stuff like those back office tasks. Obviously even keeping your database up to date. You can automate that to a certain extent, of course, without just bombarding the entire database, of course. And even obviously that LinkedIn generation piece, whether it's content through to business development now as well. There's loads of tools that can really help you do that. But I think, again, you have to use it kind of sparingly in a way. I think I've made mistakes over the years where you try to encapsulate too much of the market and then it just looks a bit shit and, salesy. So you need to be very specific and targeted with it still. And then bring in what makes you different, right? Which is always going to be your personality, your USP. And you get that through, not through a boring templated message, but you get that through by being yourself.
Yeah.
Your tone of voice. Yeah. Whether that's email, LinkedIn message, or voice notes, or on the phone, right? So it gets you for me, it gets you to the point of call quicker. It gets you to the point of meeting quicker. But then on the call, on the meeting, that's where you do your best work.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, the AI stuff can help save time, but it's no silver bullet either, right? Because you think if you're an agency and you're spending all this money on this AI to potentially get, your recruiters freed up to do more FaceTime. Recruiters, we're all pretty good at finding other shit to do than probably what we're supposed to, right? So, I think agencies, the biggest challenge is also making sure that you can use that time that you gain from AI. Yeah. It's not a complete waste of money.
Like writing vanilla ice adverts.
Mate. But actually, no. There's a guy we worked with a number of years ago, on the same kind of topic. He did he wrote an ad, but kind of just made it really honest. Did you know the situation? I'm talking about?
And he sort of just said, everyone went, oh, amazing, business with amazing founders. He goes, average business with average leaders. Like just we have an exciting office or some shit like that. Yeah, the office is pretty stock standard. Like
the snacks aren't great, but we've got some.
But that went like he got so many applications. It just went viral. It got picked up by the news.
It got picked up by one of the morning like talk shows, like Today Show or Sunrise.
Yeah, they asked him to come on.
And the company we worked for at the time, marketing were just like, nah, shut this down. We don't want this guy going on here.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Love it.
Fuck yeah.
But it was good. But just on that, you touched on, just I guess it leads back to personal brand, right? Just around that the topics of authenticity. And, I followed you for a while now on LinkedIn, and you're probably one of the first to hop on the LinkedIn train, right? A little while ago. Take us through, I guess firstly the why, and I guess what made you sort of decide to hop on it before others did and really invest that time and effort into it?
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, when I first started recruitment, LinkedIn wasn't really a tool in our arsenal because it was purely accountancy and finance. We were just, again, chained to your desk. There's the CRM. That's what you've got. There's the phone. Go at it, right? So LinkedIn, I hadn't really utilized it much until I came to Australia and started over here. And obviously the business I was with, JDP, were obviously big on that branding piece as well. So, and it's just one of those things where I just started writing articles, when blog posts were actually a thing on LinkedIn. You could get good value out of them. So I started writing articles just that way. Got some good traction with some of that stuff, and just gradually over time just kept trying to just be authentic, to be honest, and try to be myself. Tried to, obviously, still within reason, still keep professional, still give some market insights, still give some funny anecdotes that are relevant, but just try and build a bit of a network around personality. Because again, like I said earlier, that's what it is, right? People buy from people. It's your personality. And if you can be your authentic self on LinkedIn, when they meet you, when candidates and clients meet you, they're not going to be surprised, right? So, you can then have fun at work. Because for me, I always tell my consultants when I was managing them, you don't have to pretend to be someone else. You don't have to hide behind the version of you that's not you, right?
Yeah, so the work version that a lot of people
exactly
have.
Right.
Yeah,
and obviously there's levels to it, right? You have to be able to have a high EQ to know when to manage that. If you're in front of someone super duper senior, of course you will manage that and dull things down a bit. Especially I have to sometimes. But I think from a personal brand standpoint, the more you do that, the more that comes through, and then the more people buy into you naturally, and the more people buy into you naturally will more likely buy from you as well. So it just became that kind of constant thing for us, or for me, to really drive that. And to be honest, like, there's been moments where it's not gone so well. You get some people obviously giving you shit for dumb things you say sometimes. But I think for the most part, for everyone that doesn't like your content, you get 10 that will resonate and will like your content. So it gets to the point where you got to think, do I really give a fuck what that one person thinks compared to 10 of my other target markets? So that was the mindset over the years, and that don't give a fuck attitude with it. Obviously with that, kind of alienates some situations where I'm sure I've lost business because of some of the brash things I've said on LinkedIn, but I'm sure I've won a lot more as well. And I've seen it done both ways, right? I've seen really good recruiters who just don't ever do anything on LinkedIn like that. They've just got a good back book, good network naturally. They do the basics well, and some of the top billers, right? So you don't have to do it, but for me, it makes your job a lot easier.
Yeah.
If someone knows who you are before you make the call, it makes it easier to not only win business and place good candidates, but also grow. If you're a recruitment leader, people know who you are, they see your content. If you're hiring a recruitment consultant that resonates with your content, they get it, then they're like, oh shit, this person would be good to work for. So even from that growth perspective, I found it quite attractive to do, because again, people agree and they resonate with you and they come on the journey with you.
Are you I guess out of interest, do you post much like on your personal, like Instagram or Facebook, or are you just LinkedIn and that's about it?
I am terrible with Facebook and Instagram. It's funny because everyone calls me the LinkedIn guru, but it's probably not even close to what I am. But a lot of my stuff I would post on LinkedIn. I do my stories now on Instagram.
Yeah.
For example, my business page on Instagram is an absolute shithouse.
Yeah.
I've done 2 posts in 12 months. So that's an area I definitely need to improve on, because again, it's I mean, my target audience, are they really on Instagram? Would they be following me on Instagram? Potentially not. But it's still good to have that, get that content, especially when I'm starting doing my podcast again, the Hot Wings podcast. That kind of little small nuggets of information is really good for Instagram.
What about for like your own personal Instagram? Like I'll give you an example. Like in my Instagram, the last post I did was when my son was born, and that was almost 12 months ago.
Yeah. At a similar mate, I think maybe 6 months ago on personal Instagram. Yeah. So I post a lot more on LinkedIn than I do on my personal socials, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I don't even know how to do it. So don't even look at me. I just share stories that my wife sends me.
Yeah. What does scare me is the on the Instagram, the reels. Obviously, it's so easy to end up in your business account on the reels, and you don't know what you're sending to people. You know. So.
I don't send inappropriate stuff to my mates, so I wouldn't know what that's like.
I've got like a personal Insta and TikTok, and a work personal and TikTok, and some. Actually, I've only got one TikTok. But sometimes like I'll go down that rabbit hole of like conspiracy theories or something, and like, oh, I'll follow that, or I like that, and then I'll just think, hang on, anyone from work is they're gonna look at this and just think this guy's like crackpot. You gotta be careful with that stuff.
And I suppose on that comment as well, I think you obviously have to be careful as well with that personal brand about how obviously authenticity is great, but if your authentic self is to be a complete dickhead, then probably don't be so authentic.
All right. In terms of, I guess, the way that you work, right? Like, at the moment, it's just you on your own. There's a lot of people probably don't realize there is stuff you've got to do as a business owner to keep the business running day to day. But in terms of just like at a desk level, how do you manage yourself and work day to day?
Yeah, good question. I think I've always been, it's always been up here for me. I've never been a kind of a very strict process oriented recruiter. It's just not how I've been. It's very much, I know what I need to do the activity, and that will come through. And obviously that's been years. At the start, it was very KPI focused, very much do absolutely everything by the book, do your calls, do your visits, do your AD calls, and get your resumes out the door. I think over the years, I've gotten to the point where you know what needs to happen to get that out, which obviously makes training a little bit more iffy when you're obviously trying to explain this to a new consultant. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Get it done.
Just get it done, Just do this and X comes out of this. But I think from a process point of view, it's always the same activities, right? Calls, visits, new jobs, resumes at the door, right? It's always the same stuff that you need. I think for me, job flow has been fairly consistent. So, I've always been good at winning new work, new clients, and new business. So that's kind of, in a way, been the easier part since starting the business. And then obviously the delivery part is where, the pressure, that's when the pressure turns up, right? Because it's funny. It's interesting when it's going to be, your pipeline and your money in your pocket, right? It's going to be, it just kind of motivates even that extra 10%, extra 100% sometimes to really get that done, right? So because you've got so many hours in the day, you end up working, obviously, when the wee one goes down, log back in, get some stuff done, get resumes out the door, and get that activity done that you can't get done during the day because you have meetings, calls, etc. So I would say from a process point of view, it's definitely probably added a lot more to my plate because obviously everything's on me. Even accounting, I'm doing my own bookkeeping and stuff at the minute, just purely to learn that side of the business. And then once I've really got a handle on what I'm spending for a start, and then obviously then I can get a bookkeeper in. But for now, it's a bit of a learning curve. So I want to do everything, and then learn where the gaps are, where I can really put something in. Whether that's going to be recruiters, obviously back office, that kind of stuff down the line.
Mentioned earlier, you like a shiny new toy. It's like Lee over here. He loves getting sucked into an Instagram ad, and the amount of shit he buys is off an ad is at least they work, right? Talk us through just some of the learnings you've had in terms of your first sort of 12 months, or any advice maybe, because there's a lot of people obviously starting their own business or at the very start of their sort of journey or thinking about it. What would you do? What would you sort of do differently?
It's interesting. I think quite a bit. I mean, at the start, I was obviously obsessed. When I didn't have anything, I didn't have anything conceptualized. Had some ideas that I realized further down the line that will probably get my Mars sued. One of them was, I think, Digital Marvels was an idea, and have like little Marvel caricatures, like superhero characters. And I was chatting to someone, I was like, well, Marvel will probably sue you for that, man. It's pretty, that's a good point, actually. Because I've got a mate who set up a business, I'm not going to name names, but had a similar name to a large tech recruitment job board. And had that name, and it didn't end well for him. So you've got to be obviously very careful of that stuff. But I spent a long time trying to conceptualize the brand and really put pen to paper on what that looks like. And I was obsessed with not launching without a website. So I was spending hours and hours and hours doing that kind of stuff, like getting on Squarespace, doing the branding.
Yeah.
Whereas was that really too necessary at the start? Probably not, because obviously it's very much relationship based and initially anyway. But you do want your clients to be able to go somewhere that's professional, and so that's where we're landing on just a real nice and easy Squarespace website that looks schmick. The branding part again was fairly easy. Again, just getting to ChatGPT, list out exactly what you want the business to be, why you'd start the business, or even just say, look, you're my branding expert. Ask me some questions, and then it'll list out all the questions. And especially some of the stuff that I wanted to do when I started the business, especially was my Refactor for Good 1%. So giving back 1% of every fee we make to charity of our client's choice. So, and then doing fundraising for the Brain Cancer Foundation, because my mum passed of brain cancer 11 years ago. So all that kind of stuff, which is all the nice shiny things and the giving back stuff I wanted to have as part of the brand. So, got that all down pat, but I spent a lot of time focusing on that stuff where I should probably spend more time focusing on BD, right? And outbound stuff. So quickly, once the website was launched, quickly switched that, flip the switch, and then got into full BD mode. So I think I just focused on the wrong things at the start. Yeah. With the tooling, again, I've always been tempted to get a fair few of the tools. Some of the better, what I thought was the best CRM systems in the market. I probably didn't do enough research into all of them, to be honest. I had one in mind straight away, whereas I probably should have done a bit more competitor analysis. A, to get the price down, and B, to see what else is out there that's similar. Yeah. That's at a better price point, because again, these guys lock you into 2-year contracts, and you're spending, my CRM, I know for a fact, is probably 3 times the price as others in the market that probably do similar stuff, right? And similarly with some of the AI tools, again, I think I made a few mistakes where you sign up for the 7-day free trial and then you look at your account, you're like, shit, I've been stung for the full year here. Yeah. 3 times it happened to me. And they don't give you it back. No.
And it's a 1 year, like, big chunk.
Man, yeah. So, and again, that's just me of, right, just do now, think later, just fucking try it out. And then you get in there, you set and forget. And a lot of the tools, especially with the AI tools, they say it's AI, but it's not really. There's a lot of manual work you still have to do. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. So I reckon, advice-wise, just obviously pick them sparingly. Nothing will take away the core of the job, which is business development, phone-based, getting in front of people, right? So as long as you have that as your core kind of mandate, the tooling that you add in around that, just make sure it gets you from A to B quicker. And then it's useful, right? Yeah. But yeah, I think I've dialed back my tooling now. So
yeah. I reckon we spent, like, we were the same as you, man. Like sorry, Chrissy, spent so much money on shit we didn't need. and a lot of it helps. I think, like, a lot of them, it gives you incremental gains, right? But reality is, I think in that first 3, 6, 12 months, no tool you're going to have is going to perform better than just fucking cracking on, like, and work hard, pick up the phone and speak to candidates, speak to clients. Yeah. I mean,
I think the reality is no one, like, you touched on the website and we were the same, right? The website needs to be perfect. And
we fucked around for months.
But the reality is no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, no one really gives a fuck about your website. It's not, it's not the early 2000s when websites just, became invented, I guess. But
because you could spend thousands. You could spend, I got a quote, it was like 25 grand or something like that. And it's a lot of money for, when you're bootstrapping a business and it's
a lot
your
of money
cash.
for anyone, especially when it's your own, coming out of your own pocket, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, and I think Squarespace, which does its job, and I've quite a few compliments on it. Again, I knew absolutely nothing of how to do that. My missus helped with the marketing piece, but again, it was all kind of ChatGPT helping me out with what to put where, the branding piece, and make it my own, right? So $20 a month it costs, you know what I mean? Compared to, I think a few of them are like, for the similar kind of subscription model, like $500 a month.
Yeah.
Even quoted, I think one was 15 grand up front and then $300 a month. So it's a lot of money, that kind of stuff. And you don't really, at the start, isn't really necessary, probably not. But it's obviously important to have that there so it looks professional and people know you're a legit business, of course. But I think, from a tooling perspective, one of the best I've used is actually Talon AI.
Yeah, you were telling us about that the
I
other
do
day.
like that one. So I'm happy. I'm not getting paid, by the way. I wish I was.
Talon AI, looking for sponsorship.
Exactly, that was good. That's really good for that research piece, market mapping, especially if you've got a good candidate searches for hiring managers for you on LinkedIn, which is good. And then you can build out an email campaign, so reverse marketing. So I would say that's probably one of the better tools I've seen for pure BD. But other than that, the other AI tooling I've signed up for has been a shit.
What going back to, I guess, starting the business, what were the key drivers or motivators for you initially?
It's an interesting one because obviously I'm still really close with all the guys there. Me and Kieran, we left really amicably, which is really important to me because obviously you spend 10 years with the business. You become a bit of a part of that business. And, a lot of people thought it was an owner, which surprised a lot of people when I moved on. And that was always one of our values was, act like an owner, just act like it's your business, right? And, but I think over time, obviously having the wee one, priorities kind of change a bit and you just want to build something for yourself. And obviously I was, I certainly wasn't uncomfortable, but it was more like, what do I want to do in the next 10 years? If I dedicate the next 10 years to doing something, do I want that to be for myself or, for a business? So I think that's where I landed. And that comes with not just building a business to potentially sell or even earning more money from the work you're doing, but using that cash to how you see fit as well, right? Whether that's extra super investments, I'm big into stock investment, so using that money for that, using the cash to start another business, so all those extra things that you can't do, that I couldn't do with
working for a company,
that was a big factor as well. And again, like I said, a big fan of a new shiny tool, so also using it to try new things and seeing what's out there, obviously sometimes to your detriment, but again, just having full control, essentially.
And what, like, I think we touched on it before, like we're seeing so many new agencies come into the market. And I think sometimes, what we see on social media is all the good stuff that comes with it. Like so often, you see people a couple of months in, holiday and whatever else. I think we probably did that as well. But I've
got all the leave got all the leave in the world.
That's it. I'm working from somewhere completely remote for the next week, whatever, right? But for you, like when you started the business, like from what you expected it to be like to what the reality is, what's been the most surprising part for you?
Cash flow has been absolutely horrendous, to be honest. I think, I kind of envisaged it, but you don't really get to see it because you do the deal and then you move on, right? I mean, I think a lot of people at consultant level, they will probably not get the amount of times I've had consultants over the years ask me, can I get the commission up front? No.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because you never know what will happen with that deal.
Yeah.
People are not pay. Candidate's going to drop out or be a dickhead after a day and then get fired, whatever it might be, right? So I think the surprise factor of you place someone, yes, depending on your payment terms, you're not seeing that cash for maybe 2 months, right?
Yeah.
So that cash flow piece can be quite brutal, especially tools that we use on cheap, right? You've got Seek, you've got LinkedIn, you've got CRM, you've got all these tools, and especially if you're over leveraging like I did, it gets pretty expensive pretty quickly on a monthly basis. So, and before you know it, when that 20 grand invoice hits,
it's gone.
It's gone. because you've got tax coming out the door. You've got, or you might be in a bit of a hole with your tax as well. So certainly that cash flow initially, took me by surprise. And again, it's funny because you feel a bit like, oh, I've started this business and I'm, lending cash for my missus to pay the mortgage that month and have to pay it back, right? So you think, fucking, have I done the right thing here? But I think obviously in the first kind of 12 months for me anyway, it was always going to be around, especially because I bootstrapped and, didn't take a loan or whatever, was always going to be about learning, getting deals to the door, obviously bringing new business on, which we've done. We've got some really good clients. And then kind of getting a plan from there about hiring, which is always going to be for me, get 3 to 6 months of cash flow in the bank to hire maybe 1 or 2 consultants, right?
Yep.
And make sure that we've got some safety net there, which is still the plan, right? But to get from 0 to 100K in the bank is difficult, as we all know. So I definitely think the cash flow piece has been a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon that's for me as well, 100%. And I really, when I do see those agencies that start to build their teams after, only, 6, 8, 12 months, like full credit to them because we know how hard it is.
For sure.
But that cash flow piece, and it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't take much for one client to, delay payment or something like that.
Exactly.
But it hurts, right? That's I think the difference, when you're working, like we work for a big business, also boutiques as well. A client who doesn't pay that 20 grand fee, it hurts in your commission, but you're like, oh, fuck it, I'm still getting my base salary, right?
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst. Whereas running your own business, that's, you put food on the table for your family, right? It actually really, losing that one deal, it hurts.
Yeah.
You really feel it.
Yeah. I think as well, like from another part is just obviously businesses can be quite tricky, of course, as we all know in terms of business agreements. And there's a reason why all the big corporate recruitment firms have rules of what you cannot go below on your terms. I think, again, when you start, you're probably a bit nervous about, right, am I going to be winning enough work? Can I win enough work, right? Which I was always confident of doing, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. But just getting into that trap of, lowering your standards on terms just to get that work in, I can guarantee you that job that you've lowered your standards on, it's not going to be worth the time. And again, I've learned that the hard way over the years. The ones with the lowest fees are often the most fussy clients.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So, and I think there was a few that are packaged up in a way where it was, an ongoing retainer per month, which was great because it kept the cash flow going just to unlock a heavily discounted rate, right? But again, just time and time again, I'm proven right around they have become the most fussy client pretty quickly. So I think, making sure that you hold your ground in terms of that standard as well, because you end up wasting your time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think one of the other things, there's something you said there that reminded me of this, I think, and I hear it all the time where I speak to recruiters who say, I might go out on my own. I'm currently billing 600-700 where I am now. I'll go and do that, bill that 600 and I'll earn 4.
Yeah.
Math's not mathin', right? Like it doesn't work out like that. Like once you take out tax, super, like work cover, like shit like that, stuff that you've never even thought about, you're going to be getting bills for. And it doesn't quite work out like that.
And I over leveraged my work cover. I was so confident getting loads of contractors in. And obviously you pay on usage, right? So I said I was going to have quite a bit of a contractor revenue. So my quarterly fucking charge is pretty high. And I think I've done 3 contractors. So I'm like, fuck. But obviously you can reconcile it at the end of the year and stuff. But even stuff like that, you just, again, learn by doing,
learn as you go.
You know what I mean? And obviously now I've learned that lesson, So I think, but I wouldn't change for the world. This is why I wanted to do it, because I wanted to learn. I was running a business. When you say running, I was managing a team for 6 years. But it's funny, even if you're looking at a P&L, how different it is to actually being on this side of the fence where you get to see the full process. So again, that's another reason why I wanted to jump into it, just so I could learn from the business perspective as well.
If there's a listener or someone else out there thinking about going out on their own and doing it, what 1 or 2 pieces of advice would you have for them before they do it?
Do it. I mean, if you're confident in your ability, I think a lot of people are scared of obviously the unknown. But I think there's enough work out there for everyone to, get by. As long as every single recruitment consultant in Melbourne doesn't open their own firm. But
well, I think we're on track for that at the moment. Yeah.
No, I think again, it's one of those things, right? For me, if I never tried it, I would always regret it.
Yeah.
And that was always a big factor for me. I was like, right, it was good now or never. I was in a comfortable position. I would have always regretted it for years, right? So that was a big decider for me. But right, and I'm not a risk averse person, so I thought, fuck it, let's just do it. And as soon as I made that decision, to my wife's annoyance, it was a pretty quick, right, in and out, let's go. And she was like, Jesus Christ, you haven't even mapped this out. I was like, don't care, don't need to.
We'll work it out.
Yeah, we'll work it out. So, but I think the advice is, if you trust yourself, you're confident, the biggest part is winning business, right? If you can comfortably win business and deliver it, you'll be fine. As long as you've got some cash behind you, if you've got a mortgage, obviously all that kind of stuff, be careful with saving and make sure you've got enough aside for that. Because again, without going to too much detail, obviously I had to dip into other funds to pay mortgages a few months, right? Because of the cash flow piece, but then you pay it back. So if you're not in that position, make sure you've got enough cash to leverage off for living expenses. Other than that, what's stopping you? I think it's easier now than ever to do so. Obviously, with the tools you can do to set up branding, set up, like I say, websites earlier, all the stuff that you need is pretty easy to start. Even from a advice perspective, right? All you need to do is say, how do I start a business? And ChatGPT and it'll fucking give you everything, right? So, you've got a little admin person there already. So there's no easier time to do it. So they can do it. And if you fail, there's always going to be that job you can walk back into. If you were building 700 grand, no one's going to say no to you coming back into an employed role.
Absolutely.
Just to wrap up, mate, what advice would you have for any, I guess, newish or younger recruiters, actually any recruiters out there in market? I mean, you've spoken a lot today about you've never really struggled with the BD side and that comes naturally to you. What advice would you have for them to make their life a bit easier when it comes to generating work and jobs?
Yeah, I think for me, personal branding is a big one. There's a reason why I still do it consistently. There's a reason why, I really want to drive the brand forward, especially, from my side of things is it's just easier to win work, right? Like I said earlier, if you can pick up the phone and someone knows who you are straight away, that's why we did the Hot Ones or the Hot Ones rip-off, right? And I'm taking that with me in terms of...
it's coming back?
It's coming back, mate. So this has been really nice, not eating spicy shit while I'm talking, because I can actually talk. People must think I'm like, Jesus Christ, Faz has got a mouthful of marbles.
Trying to listen to Geordie accent.
My mouth's numb all the time. But yeah, I think, there's a reason why we did that and why I was keen to continue it is because it gets you into a room with people you just don't get into a room with, right? And off the back of that, business development's great, but not just with that unique podcast stuff like this, right? Even just general, lighthearted or market information, those bits of nuggets, if it lands in the right person at the right time, it's going to turn into business, right? If you do consistently, like anything, right? For recruitment, consistency, time in market, and hard work, those are the 3 pillars of success, right? If you do all those things constantly, you'll do well, right? So I think from that point of view, definitely start building that early because that will pay dividends in 5, 6, 7 years, if not sooner. Other than that, just try not to take it too seriously. I think it's a great profession. It's a great career. You can build some really good relationships, and those relationships can take you anywhere, right? Whether it's into a new job if you don't like recruitment, or whether it's building a really amazing business like I've been able to do over the last 10 years. And, a lot of the things I've done or been able to, places I've been able to go, the property I've been able to invest in is all off the back of recruitment.
Yep. So
people bag it as an industry, but if you've got a genuine passion and love for it, that coupled with hard work, you can do really well. So I think if you don't take yourself too seriously, the winning work thing, just don't let it get you down if you're getting told to fuck off all the time. Just have that end goal in sight. And there's a million different ways you can when I'm training new consultants, I always talk about business development. People think of cold calls, which is still relevant, but there's a million things you can do before you make that call so they know who you are.
Yeah.
So I'd say, definitely get working on that, on those little first instances, and then you'll get more confident with the calls.
Good man. Some wise words.
Yeah.
James, thank you for your time today, mate. We've really enjoyed the conversation. We wish you all the best, for your business moving forward, and we look forward to seeing the podcast come back soon.
Do you guys eat spicy things?
I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole.
I don't mind a bit of spice, but it depends.
My
Depends what you
my
consider
Aussie
spicy.
palate doesn't really go past mild at Nando.
There's nothing funnier for me than the next day when you're thinking about the person that you've pretty senior person about the podcast, and they're like, they're probably on the toilet thinking about it right now.
And saying, I hate you. I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. And after you got that relationship, you can say a lot more than you usually would. Right?
And on that note, mate, thank you once again. Really enjoyed the chat. All the best for the rest of 2026.
Cheers, guys. Thanks
Cheers,
for having
mate.
me.
Thank
Good
you.
man.
Cheers, boss. Cheers.